Good morning, friends. Namaskar, Sat Sri Akal and Adab. This is my 179th video, and this will be covering a cantonment called Varanasi. So, Varanasi is a cantonment which was much prior to the Britishers when they put their foot, was already a civilized or a developed kind of a cant or a township. Now the settlements in Varanasi after the 1765 Governor General orders of the Diwani happened in 1795. So this was under which settlement? So this was under the Bengal Decennial Settlements of 1793. So the Raja who was asked for the settlements agreed, and he even approved these settlements. So then there came to be a permanent arrangement as per regulation 1, 2 and 27 of 1795 order. This is that same order 1793 and 1795 of Governor General which I keep talking of. So the first regulation 1 clearly laid down the principle of perpetuity. Please understand. So these lands were given in perpetuity so long as the leaseholder and the respective representative continued to discharge and perform the conditions of this lease. So were there leases in 1795 instead of grants, or were these grants which were called leases is a matter of evidence and debate. So the Zamindaris were dispossessed prior to 1775, and subsequently leases had to be made in perpetuity, and they were asked to abide the laws made by the Britishers of the 1795 or 1793 order. So regulation 2 is mainly historical and gives a valuable and concise summary of the measures and adoptions of connections with the settlements. So how settlements were to be taken, which land was of the Rajas, which were of his, Sipe Salars or officers of the Prime Minister. There's a lot of things to be discussed under the Bengal Land Revenue Act. So regulation 27 simplifies the preceding enactments, that is 1, 2 or maybe more, and is chiefly in importance for the definition and reservation of government rights. What do you mean here? What government rights? Did the government take these lands? These rights have to be understood. The government was ready to give these lands in perpetuity to the Zamindars or to the Pattidars or to the Rotwaris, which were the three hierarchies, and the Raja. But what was the conditions? What government rights? So government rights basically in those days were also three government rights. If there is any mineral, if there is any roads and water source to be taken up, and for public purpose. So these were the three rights which were the government retaining. And you'll be surprised, Varanasi and Chandoli, this was a part of the Raja's report given in Duncan's. It was accumulating a lagan, a land revenue of then in 1795, approximately rupees 78,200. Just imagine. This is stated in Duncan's report. So regulation 15 of 1795 speaks. It lays down that the later officers should give redressal to complaints in revenue matters, and the Raja or his officer was to hear these complaints as to the expectation and the breaches of the agreements to the expectations of the British government. The matter of the land which was held by the lowest Rotwaris or the tenants, they could appeal to the collector whether the rent or the ground rent which had been allocated or had been asked for is right or correct. So the entire collection of this revenue went in the hands of the Zamindaris. And now there were some special courts created which could take up these disputes between two. And thus it was considered that the Raja of Varanasi was the sole proprietor and he could make whatever arrangements he wanted to do with the Jagirs, and it would be ultima grants. I had mentioned this in my definition of grants or name of grants video. So friends, please, Duncan report is rebrushing that grant under the reserved laws. It goes on to states that demarcations of these states was not done. Neither the area was calculated. So how was the grant or the land revenue being collected? These are all matter of debates, because Britishers were converting the Akbari land system to their own land revenue system. So please, with my folded hands to everybody who's watching these videos, please dig in your land revenue records. So that's very important. So what the Britishers wanted from the Raja of Banaras, this is way back in 1789, that they accumulated a land revenue to his territorial zone approximately to about 40 lakhs now. And this is barely in 1791, but then it came down to the amount which I told you earlier. The system of Jagirs and Talukdars or Pattidars was created by whom? The Muslim rulers, that is the Akbari system, later on the Aurangzeb last system. So Duncan, while making a settlement report and the position of farmers, which actually changed completely from their original tenure, which was that neither they had hereditary terms, neither they were holding transferability of their grants, nor these grants were permanent, nor they were based on any right, but they were held on a year-to-year basis, and that too also on the mercy of the Rajas. So here that divide and rule policy of the Duncans came in. And what did he do? He gave these Pattidars or the Rotwaris the original land tiller, or that you will have the right to permanent hereditary transferability. Then you will become the chief proprietors of these estates. So transferability was given to the landowner. Now here comes a question, were they able to mortgage these lands, which will be discussed later. So meaning hereby, land had to be either resumed, the word resumed, for non-payment of revenue, or acquired from the owner. Now, if Raja had, and the Duncan's report had given rights to the Pattidars and the Rotwaris and the Jagirdars, so the land had to be acquired. But did the Britishers do that in Banaras? Did they actually acquire land? So this part of the document was shared by a bungalow owner. He sent me some reports. I'm very pleased about it. And this speaks of what? So these documents of Varanasi speak how lands were acquired in 1852. They were not acquired when originally the cantonment was being made. When was it made? It was made in 1811 with an approximate area of about 1168 acres, out of which 35 acres was freehold land. So 1852, the government of British under the northwest frontier, so that means Banaras was not a part of Bengal Presidency, it fell under the northwest frontier, and he writes that this Banaras is a non-regulatory or a regulation territory. So we need to understand, when Banaras in 1811 was made with this 168 acres, was it the military boundary? The military authorities were allowed to be in it, or was it the cantonment boundary pillars? Not known till date. So this letter of 9th March 1852 speaks of some villages. Now these villages will be confirmed by Varanasi bungalow owners, naming Burgan, Shapti, Nundior, Luchepur, Patti, Nandusur, and out of these three villages and the exclusivity of Konakan and Lohata, the revenue records is to be dug in. Do these villages yet exist on revenue records of Varanasi? Please, bungalow owners, dig these records. Go to the Tahsil, find the Jama Bandis of 1855 onwards. Out of these mohallas or villages, Patti, Nunsar, Mofis had nil lagan. So was this wasteland? Settlements in the other area that is called the Lagan or the Jumma was approximately 2.5 times of the area which was taken by Patti. So how is this calculation of 40 lakhs or 78,000 being done? Similarly, Habilpura and Chinnupur and Lahamars, these three villages where the revenue was minimal. Like the thumb rule of the Britishers, what I have always been assessing, and after reading so many books on revenues, it was a kind 1 acre, 1 rupee approximation, or could be 1 rupee 8 annas or whatever. So it was something like this. So the total amount of lagan in Varanasi was 3,249, out of which 2,749 was paid back to these owners, Pattidas, Jagirdas, or Rotwaris or Musfidas, and a balance of 1,526 of compensation was continuously paid year on year basis. Now if you sum up this, 3,000 rupees, and that for 1,168 acres of land, out of which 35 acres is freehold, this amount works out to be approximately 3 rupees per acre. So friends, we need to understand these calculations. We need to dig into these records, how actually the lagan and the compensation was being done. Was it being done that because of my lagan was 1 rupee, so my land value is also 1 rupee? Is it something like this? Or was it that I had to be paid land against land? Or is it that my rights of 1 rupee, which was my lagan, had to be multiplied to a particular ratio and then paid me out? So these calculations came up in 1876 order. So these 5-6 villages, Burga, Shaipatti, Nunsyar, Luchepur, Lohapatti and Susankors area commuted to about 1,526. This report is being made in when? By Duncans in 1905. So cantonment is made in 1811. The report is being made in 1900. So I have these data, these reports of areas. What is the Jumma of Burgan, Shipatti? In year, Burgan was in 1825, Luchepur was in 1820. Some part of Luchepur was taken in 1830. Lohat was taken in 1825. So this interesting part of the letter of 1852, where it reads government or military authority, it is not sure that lands were acquired. And whether this compensation, which was 1,562, was actually being paid for that 1,168 acres, or what was it? So it's again a situation where from 1852 to 1905, nothing is known about Lekku. Now there is an important data which is mentioned that one owner of this 1,526 lands in either of these villages of Burgan, Shripatti, Nunsur, Luchepur and Lohata, one Uttamgiri, he mortgages his right for 471.3 anna 0 paisa. Again he mortgages his right for 178 rupees 6 annas 0 paisa. Third time he mortgages his right is 370.13 annas and 9 paisa. Ganga Bai also mortgages her right. Prithpal Singh also mortgages her right. This total amount comes out to be 1172.12.9 paisa. Now an equal share was in the hands of Hakim Raza and Khached Singh. The other owner was Shardul Lal and Shobha Babul Singh. So this part of the land of Muzammat Subina was also equally taken. And when you sum up this total of mortgage in value is about 1526 rupees. So here the settlement officer of 1905 is admitting that more than approximately 81,000 rupees has been paid to these various owners from 1852 to so. So why not try and acquire these lands instead of paying them an annual compensation? Now, did it happen? This report doesn't speak of it. It only recommends. So now there came a report called the Bristle report. So the Bristle report of compensation, which was many a time more than the actual value of the land for which it has been paid. I would therefore instruct and suggest the government to further it will be a waste of government money to compensate these owners to the amount of 1526 on an annual basis. So why not purchase their land? Now this is 1168 acres of total Varanasi and this land which was with them. So this register was kept by us showing recipient as per the records of revenue owners. Papers also, they were owners shown. Now where is the mutation then? Dig it out. Get your Jama Bandis. So these reports speak of various things. So he created an inquiry. When he went into, there were no recorded owners available in the revenue records. The village papers did not show that. So the village countermanded the column of ownership, which recorded Cantonment Committee as owner, and there was no mutation in the Jama Bandis or the land records of these people. So the same report carries for other departments also. So this report I would use was basically somewhat in favor of the government itself alone. So Varanasi people should actually try and dig in, because Vinay Maitra also in a book has referred that there is private land in Varanasi. So the truth can only come up if Varanasi bungalow owners can actually wake up. Go to the Tehsil, dig in your land records, bring your Jama Bandis, everything is there. Because I've been again and again saying, please dig in your land records. Thank you. Good day.